How you going over there, Garrick? All right, I haven't heard much of you lately.
No, all good. Had a very good meeting yesterday with Destination. We went very well there, and we had a very nice racetrack meeting. So yeah, life beyond council.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Harry is coming on, isn't he, Alex?
I would definitely assume so. He needs to talk to some stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, where's my video? Where's my camera gone?
Can't see you. That's good.
Huh?
Oh,
I got a bugger.
Apparently, the Minister for Local Government is making a Three Waters announcement later on this morning.
Oh,
Are you interested to see what that is?
yeah. 10:30.
Is it 10:30?
Yeah, my boys are listening.
Your boys.
It's Garrick's hit squad. That's 9 o'clock.
Yep, that's 9 o'clock. Okay. Right, we will get the meeting underway and welcome everyone. And I can't see Stefan there. I want to make a special welcome to him, being his first Assets and Services meeting in his new role. And I wish him well for, yes, there's a few issues to come up yet. But anyway, look, obviously due to COVID-19 restrictions, this meeting is being held via audio video conference, and elected members and members of the public are not permitted to be physically present. All members participating via video conference will count for, hang on, I just can't read it, for the purpose of the meeting quorum in accordance with clause 25B of Schedule 7 to the Local Government Act. The meeting is being live streamed to Council's YouTube channel. Okay, now we generally, Pam sits in on these meetings, and I've just been talking to Pam, and she is quite happy to be in the audience. But if there's any issues around the libraries or the waste minimisation, and you have a question, I guess it would be appropriate that Pam answers it for us. Okay, do we have any apologies? Nope. Right. No apologies. So conflicts of interest. Are there any of those conflicts to declare? No, we're fine. Good. Public participation, there is none. So we've got no actions from it. Minutes for confirmation. We are considering the minutes from the 1st of September 2021. Are there any corrections needed? Not. Okay. Do I have someone to move that we receive these? Alex, do we have a seconder? Alistair. All in favour of that? Raise your hands. Against? Carried. So obviously we're all happy with the minutes of the last meeting. So we shall move on now to any extraordinary business. We've got none. I missed that out before. So we're pretty well ready to jump straight into it. And the first one is the pump track. The Martinborough pump track. Right, before.
Hi, Jimmy.
Yeah, hey, mate. Can you, is there anything that you'd like to discuss on that?
Yeah, I move that we receive the.
Oh, sorry, yes, I move, and a seconder. Rebecca, thank you. Thank you, Alex, for that. Right,
Yep, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So the community have got together, being pushed by Charlotte Harding, to get something for the kids between the age of around 7 to 15 that really doesn't have much to do in Martinborough in that group. So they've come up with the idea of a pump track, It will be community funded, not through council. Yes, council will be doing the maintenance of it, but they are looking at using sustainable products, concrete and tar seal and stuff. So it'll just be minor maintenance for the council. Having it placed in Considine Park, now it's gone through the Considine Park user group and also through the Martin Borough Community Board as a support. The location has yet to be decided. We are looking at the moment, the picture that you've got on there is just an idea of what it would look like. It may even be smaller. It just depends on funding. So what we're really looking for is the support of the Assets and Services Committee so we can get on with getting some design, formality, and also a consultation out to the Martin Borough public on this going forward.
Okay. Have the neighbours across the road, they've been consulted on this?
They have, yes, Charlotte's been and knocked on their doors. We've had a couple of concerns with them, but again, that was where the current track is sitting on the design. They were worried it was right outside their house. Look, there could be multiple areas there. We may look at placing it down at the southern end of Considine Park, which is where the cricket building is at the moment. That's currently looking at being shifted, and that allows us to have where the activity of the swimming pool is already going on. It's a little bit further away from people, nearer the corner, closer to the school. That's just one idea. It's just something that would have to work through with the designer and then have a final outcome through the community group.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. Well, we're really only asked to note the significance of Centennial and Considine Park and the activities permitted under the Centennial and Considine Park Management Plan. And I see you've ticked them all off. And secondly, and we can do this together, to support the Martin Borough Pump Track Initiative, because if it's going out into the for consultation with the public, there'll be issues raised by them that we need to address, and we could push this around forever and not get there. So, I mean, Pip, do you have a?
Yeah, just as another note, our youth representative on the Martin Borough Community Board was quite engaged with this, with this when we asked him how he felt about it and what his thoughts were, and he believed it would be an absolute benefit to that age range, giving them something to do.
Yeah.
Keeping them out of trouble.
Yeah, that's fine. And thanks for that, Pip. And as Bryce just mentioned, this is the first design, and the area that they use may change due to lighting or safety, and particularly with the road, because there's no footpath on that side of the road, and where the kids are going to be biking down the road, and it is a heavy traffic bypass, so we need to consider that. But that'll all come out in the consultation with the public. Alistair, you're on mute, mate.
Yeah, Bryce, I'm just really interested as to why the community wants to just community fundraise for it, and they're not interested in perhaps coming to council and using some of the special reserves.
No, they've just, to be honest, Alistair, they've already started fundraising. They've already got some pretty profile backers. They've already got a project manager that's keen to work with council if this is pushed through. So at this stage, no, they haven't asked council at all.
So it might be that we just sort of earmark it if they're short, that we could fill up the difference sort of thing rather than. Yeah,
well, that's something that we could push through. Come back to the council later if required.
Okay. Do they need any help with the design? Funding for getting the design off the ground?
I don't think so at this time. As I say, they have been fundraising. They've already had a chat with the designer. They've already got some people who actually live in Martin Borough, well, not live, but holiday in Martin Borough, but live in Wellington, that are experienced in this kind of work anyway.
Okay. Alex, you had a question?
I'll let Councillor Fox go first.
Oh.
Thanks, Alex. Look, I just was wondering, Bryce, are you able to let us know anything about the management plan for the pump track when it goes ahead?
We haven't even got that far yet. There is a dated management plan, as you see in the report there, on Considine Park, but we actually haven't got that far with the management plan regarding the track yet.
Okay.
That'll have to come as well.
Sort
We're
of,
really just needing support. We've got to go through that process with consultation, etc. first.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was just interested. I mean, I think it's a fantastic thing for Martinborough youth. I was just interested in the maintenance or proposals around maintenance that we might need to pick up, because that, of course, is a cost to the community. And I just wanted to make sure that we've got some idea about what that's going to look like. That's all.
Yeah, I think looking at other pump tracks, what they do is they make it a permanent, as I was saying, asphalt or concrete. So that's very little maintenance there. It's just more the gardens around it and the mowing of the grass, etc. It's nothing in detail, if you know what I mean. It's quite a minor bit of maintenance that I've seen on other tracks.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that.
Alice.
Just a couple of things. One is, I assume that the Pony Club has moved from this permanently.
Yes.
And, yeah, my comment would be that it's actually a really nice maturing of this piece of public land, and it's I think it's really positive for the amenity value of that whole piece of land. It's actually looking fantastic.
Yeah, Alex, concerning the Pony Club, I would like to thank the Pony Club. They were very good to deal with. They've actually decided to not use Considine Park. There was no hassles with them. They understand why we require green space now, and they were really good to deal with.
Right. Gareth.
Yeah, the only question I was going to raise was the Pony Club thing worried me a bit if we're in a Rotary hat, because we're going to be short of parking. Is there any other alternatives out there we can look at, Bryce, going forward for parking for big events? Because it's quite handy having that block of land there.
Gareth, to be honest, we don't own that much in Martinborough. The options possibly, you can still use this for parking. You could rope off that area. You're talking the fair and stuff like that. It is. Yeah, the fair. It's not going to take up. We've tried to keep it as narrow and we understand what you're saying. The options are, we've got to put somewhere for the kids. We're a bit. We don't have many parks to play with.
Yeah, I take your point. It's just the Toast and Martinborough Fair, and at one stage we had looked at actually busing people, parking further out and busing them in, and that may be in fact the solution, which comes back from your engagement with the community. So just putting it out.
Yeah, good point. Alistair,
Right, so it's just your last comment about something about the kids. I think it just raises a really interesting point. This is now the third community-driven thing about kids, and if we think back to when I came onto the council, one of my things is very much about kids. So we've got Featherstones with their skate rink there, or what it's called. You've got the park coming into Greytown. Now you've got this. I think we need to, as a council, we need to really take note that parents are really after things for their kids to do outside. There's more and more pressures on our kids with computers and video games and so on and so forth. And I think we really need to make sure that we are looking for the future for these kids, to make sure that we get kids outside. We make sure that whatever kids need to be active and outside, we are facilitating. Because if we don't, we will be paying the price as a community in 20 or 30 years. And I just think, we can't go wrong by providing facilities for kids.
Yep, I agree, Alistair. And I think with the general discussion we've just had on it, that everyone's quite keen to see this go ahead. So, as I said before, point 2 and 3 we could do together, and it's note the significance of Centennial and Considine Park and the activities permitted under the park management plan, and secondly, to support the pump track initiative. Would someone like to move? Alistair and Pip. We're all in favour of that. Raise your hands. Thank you. Stefan, welcome. Your first assets and services meeting, I hope you don't at the end of it run away and not come back. But yeah, welcome onto the team, and yep, we will value your input as we need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Right. Yep, we're moving on to B2, which is a Greytown play space and wheels park. Would someone like to move that we receive that? Alistair and Rebecca. Thank you. Now we're all in favour of that. We had a good read of this, and it was very well presented. And by reading through it, you can see they've done a lot of consultation with people of Greytown, and there's more to come, of course. So I think it's very put together very, very well. I'd just like to get Rebecca and Alice's comment. They're on the ground, so to speak, and see what the feeling is out there. Rebecca.
Thanks, GP. There's really, really widespread interest in the park. Very, very few people have come to me with any level of opposition towards it. They believe that there's a need for something like this in Greytown to be used, developed rather, and it will be well used. So very, very popular with parents, young and older. The only thing that I've had that's come up around it has been potential noise issues raised for the new subdivision of Tararua Junction. It was actually raised by someone that doesn't live in, or won't be living in Tararua Junction, but it's still something, I guess, to think about for the future, is that it may have some impacts like that. But otherwise, very positive impact, well received, and I think it will be a good asset to the community.
Thank you. Alistair. Turn your mute button.
Sorry, I'd like to do a big public thumbs up to Sid as well. He's worked tirelessly on this, and he's done it extremely. This has been in the public arena now for a long time. It's been in the plans have been in the library for months now, I think, isn't it, Anne? I think they've certainly been there. So the consultation part, I think the public have had a huge opportunity to see the designs, see the things. The designs were put together after lots of meetings with the schools, both schools in the town, the different community groups. We're certainly just waiting to get a little bit of feedback from Maori Standing Committee and Papawai. But look, I don't think that's going to derail this at all. I think they'll be very supportive of it. They want to somehow to incorporate some Maori design into the place. That won't be hard to incorporate. But look, I think to progress this, we really need to get on to the final consultation part. We need to actually look at how this is going to be. This is a 3-year project, so we need to be able to get to the stage of getting consent done so that we can actually show the public in Greytown that something's happening. Whether we can get to the stage of turning some soil by Christmas would be just fantastic. I don't know if that's achievable, but it would be really neat. But we also need to say, this is the first stage, this is the second stage, this is the third stage, so the public understands how each stage is going to develop. And I'm not quite sure how we will do that, Bryce, but any comment?
Yeah, Bryce.
Yeah, I think, Alistair, you said it correctly. Everything you said was absolutely correct. Other than the trouble we're having in the amenities at the moment is just getting tradesmen. It's a real heartache for us when we can see we want things to be done and we just can't get tradesmen to do any work at this stage. But going back to the park, yeah, I think this is something that Greytown's really needing. It's going to complement what's going on with the growth there, particularly with the kids and the schools. The next step is definitely get on with a true consultation. As I say, Sid's put some stuff up in the library and got some good feedback. We've already had the feedback. We've already met with the schools and other members of the public on site with the designer. And we just need to get, basically this will just get the foundation in for this park, and then it'll be slowly move forward from there, but we just need to get on with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the success of this a wheels park will actually flow into the Martinborough pump track. You know, the design and what you come up with for this will, as I say, help the pump track in Martinborough. And you had a comment.
Yeah, just to say I've had really positive feedback on this. No negative feedback at all. It's been a long time in the making, but the community is very supportive of it. Alistair, in terms of stage 2 and 3, is there going to be a time when we're going to be going out to the community for financial help?
Look, I think no matter what, we're going to have to do fundraising to get it finished.
Yeah.
You know, but I think we just need to work out how we're going to finance this. There's been money put aside for the initial start of it. I think it's $1 million, isn't it, Alex? I think. But you know, this is a $3 million project over 3 years. So, you know, as Martinborough has shown very successfully, there's the ability to fundraise when you get the community behind it. There's plenty of money awash in Greytown, and I can't imagine that it would be too difficult to start fundraising for this, given the wide public support there is for it. But we need to actually develop that plan.
Yeah, I'd just say that we go for fundraising sooner rather than later, because
Absolutely.
yeah, it is going to need to happen. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, very, very supportive. I think it's a great thing for Greytown. Yeah.
Thanks, Ian. Alex, you had a comment.
Yeah, so really in this proposal, I mean, the first $1 million is going to there under financial considerations is 1, 2, 3, 7
Yep.
parts that will be done, which actually does create a usable amenity in itself without having to do the rest. But I do love the whole concept, including an option for a cafe or something there as well. So, so really, what we're asking to proceed with is actually a standalone amenity. It would be great to see if we could get dirt dug by Christmas, but I'm sure there's a lot of consenting and consultation hoops to run through, and I don't think we'll get that done in 6 weeks.
Oh, we possibly have to go out to tender as well, Alex,
Yep.
Yes.
which takes longer.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, Alex. I mean,
I think, sorry, Jeffrey, just on that, I think, you know, whether we can get dug before Christmas is not necessarily as important as actually showing to the community that we're proceeding with this and that it is proceeding at pace so that people understand that it's not drifting.
Yep. No. Okay. Right. Well, I think we're all in agreement that this is a worthwhile project too. So we're actually being asked to approve the Greytown Park concept design for public consultation. Would someone like to move that we, Alistair and Pip, all in favour, raise your hands. Thank you. Against? Carried. And the important part, I guess, we come to is
Sorry,
recommendation.
Derek, were you against that? Your hand went up right at when he said against, so I just want to clarify that, because I think you were for it, but your just hand went up when he said against.
Garrick, that was correct.
Yeah, against the track.
No. Slow to react. It's old age, Pip.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Right, we do come to recommendation 3, and to nominate 2 members of the committee to provide input into the consultation plan. Rebecca.
I think it would be really helpful to have, of course, our 2 people from different wards. And if Alistair was comfortable, I'd be quite happy for Alistair to go onto that if he was happy. And it'd be good to have a discussion about one of our other ward representatives heading on as well.
Thank you. Well, first up, you've nominated Alistair, and I will second that. We all in favour of Alistair? Against? Carried. Right, now, number 2, committee member. I had thought that Garrick might want to put his hand up for this. Garrick, what's your thoughts?
Look, I'd love to be involved, and I'm just sort of reflecting that I think it'd be quite appropriate to have somebody from Featherston putting an input into this.
Yes.
And with the deputy mayoral thing, that might help because, but look, I'm not pushing my barrow. I've got the other activity I'm heavily involved with, as you know, is the racetrack, but I don't see any conflict there.
Okay.
Different animals.
No, I second you, Garrick.
Now we're all in favour of Garrick.
I think there are a couple of.
Anne wanted to say something, Chippy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd just like to raise the point that it's Greytown Community Board has been involved right from the beginning, and it would be good to have a community member involved in that consultation process.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually understood. I thought, no, that's probably, I made a mistake there, that they were involved with it. Anyway, is that not right, Alistair?
Yeah, that's right. They've been involved right from day one. This is actually about appointing 2 councillors onto the consultation part, not the community board, because the community board will be involved in that anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, that's how I understood it.
So it's 2 people from the Assets and Services Committee, and
Yes.
so that's where Garrick comes in. And I agree. I second Jeppy's nomination.
I think this will, as we progress, I've got a feeling, Anne, that this will become a standing item on the community board meetings as we progress.
I can see that.
If Garrick does take the nomination, will we be one of the first people to ride on a skateboard on the park at opening?
I've got a skateboard, Garrick.
If he gets on the skateboard, Garrick, I'll give you the initial push.
Given the state of my bones, you could probably borrow my knee scooter.
I was the first person to ride a bike at the Featherston Bike Park, so just leave me alone.
Oh, okay. Well, did you do it well?
Was that on a penny farthing?
Okay, look, righto. Now we're all in favour of those 2 nominations. Raise your hands. Anyone against? No, carried. So good on you guys. You'll do us proud. Now the last is recommendation 4. Note that the officers will report the Greytown Park concept design and consultation plan to council for approval to proceed to public consultation. Just on that, what's involved in that, Bryce? I think you're pretty well there, aren't you?
Yeah, we're nearly there. Yeah, we've just got to make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's on the actual consultation document. We don't want to get it wrong. And then I'll talk with our governance team and see exactly which how they want to do this. It will need to go out to the whole district, not just Greytown.
Do we need to pass this through Assets and Services before it goes out? Considering that, you know, we could be 6 weeks, 2 months away from our next meeting. Are we able just to get an email update and get our, if we're approving going ahead with a concept design for public consultation? I think
that's why we've got the two councillors involved, so we can just move forward. Chippy?
Yeah. Everyone happy with that?
Could I also suggest that perhaps we put it through the community board as well in Greytown, and maybe, Anne, we have an extra community board meeting specifically on this so that it's not held up too long. If we want to move and we want to have the community involved, we really need to do that. And it might be an extraordinary community board meeting specifically on the skate park.
Yep, you're on mute, Anne. Anne agrees. Well, the nod of the head, you agree, Anne. Hello, now you've gone back. We got you, Anne.
There you go. Yep. So what did you say, Anne?
I'll have to unmute again now. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yes, I think that would be a good idea. I think we need to move it forward as soon as possible. I'd be in favour of a special meeting. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're all in agreement on how we're going to proceed. Alex, you had a...
I'm just wondering whether, in light of Alice's comments and Anne's, And given that council has already approved the money, that once the feedback, community consultation and tendering has gone ahead, we delegate, do we want to delegate to the two involved councillors to proceed? Or do we still want it to come through to council for the final draft or pricing for stage one to come back to council for approval? I'm just thinking of speeding it up, given that we have already approved the money, and in assets and services, we've approved the concept of the plan for consultation.
I don't think we need to come back to council on that. We've got the cap at $1 million, and I
Yeah,
think
but the councillors don't have delegation to bind council by themselves. Harry, are you able to comment on this?
Yeah, so you've approved the funding, so effectively it comes under my delegation to implement. So I don't think it needs to come back unless there's any scope change or anything that occurs as a result of the consultation.
Right.
Pip,
Yeah, I think it's I just think if any what the concept design that we've seen and that we're putting through now, if there are any changes, I do think it probably still needs to come back through, just so then that way we know exactly what's going on with that funding from what's been approved, and that it's still within that scope. That's all. So it's just a glance over, really, more than anything else.
yep, Alistair.
Could we ask, Bryce, you said that we would need to consult on the design out across the district. Do we need to do that given that we consulted on the development of the park across the district? Is the actual where the pump track goes or where the basketball court is situated in the design, is that necessary to consult widely, or is that more of a, that's an aesthetics issue for people of Greytown? I just get some guidance on that.
I got guidance from our governance team, basically saying it is ratepayers' money, basically, that we're using, and it should be consulted widely, not just in Greytown.
And the same would go for any other park as well. Yep, same
That's-
as with Considine Park.
That's correct, because it's funded from the district, not from Greytown.
Karen, you had a comment?
Just to add to that, yes, we did consult through the long-term plan. So I think it is appropriate to go back out to the district. And we have always talked about these facilities being district-wide facilities. Obviously, it's in Greytown, but I think it's going to be a really good asset for all of our districts. So we want to have input from all of our community onto this.
Okay, we all happy on that? We've done, Suzanne, have we done the right thing here on the recommendations? We have.
We didn't actually get a mover in the end or in a second for note 4, so we just need to do that.
Would someone like to move? Alistair and Gareth. All in favour? Raise your hands. Against? Carried. Okay, thanks, Suzanne. Need someone to keep me on my toes. Right, we are now moving on to B3, which is the 5 Town Trails Master Plan. And boy, there's some reading in there. So would someone like to move we receive the 5 Trails Master Plan? Pip and Alex. We're all in favour of that? Aye, against? Carried. So here we go. Get into the discussion, guys. Bryce, I'll let
Look,
you.
Jeppy, I'll just comment. So
Oh,
I'll
okay,
put
sorry.
before you hand over to Bryce. A couple of things in here. I mean, so this is the master plan, but as it moves into beyond the master plan implementation, there's a recommendation here that the Assets and Services recommends to council that they delegate to me to form a legal entity that can progress that. And there's discussion on that on paragraph 3. Basically, the Wairarapa Trails Action Group has no formal or statutory powers, nor can it fundraise. So it's not because it's not a legal entity. It's not constituted. It doesn't have the ability to fundraise, nor can it actually manage assets because in terms of liability and those types of things. So I think it's important that as we progress, we do have a form of legal entity that the respective councils can work through, that has the ability to be properly constituted, has legal powers, and most importantly, has the ability to fundraise and manage a balance sheet. But just note that that can take some time. So under the considerations on paragraph 3.1, we're just highlighting that because of the time to set up a legal entity in one form or another, that we intend to progress via a memorandum of understanding to get the relationships clear between the councils. So I just want to speak to that point. There's anything specific about the master plan or the nature of the 5 trails, and Bryce can add or answer any questions.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Harry. I did read that and understood that. So we'll just move on to Bryce now, and just I know that there's a few years got some questions around this. So Bryce, is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, what I can say is this is probably one of the biggest projects that the 3 councils jointly be involved in. It is not something that's going to happen tomorrow. This is a vision going forward. There's a lot of work involved getting to this stage. We basically say that this document is what we call the enabler. This enables the councils or the governance group, once it's formed, to actually look at funding outside of council. We could go to central government, we could go all over the place. We tried to get this through the PGF at one stage, and because we didn't have a master plan as such, it never went any further. Now we've got this, and this has taken at least 3 years to get to the stage with COVID in the middle of it. It's been quite a challenge working together, although the councils worked really well together on the project. It's just been a challenge with COVID, as TRC were based in Australia. So we've been through all the community groups. We've had community meetings with them. We've had key stakeholders in the cycling world, etc. This sits with our well-being as well. We want to get people out and about, active, and this will bring money into the economy here. We tried to base it similar to the Otago Trail, and it's level 1, level 2, which is easy riding, and then we have signature loops around the towns. So you've got the backbone, which gets us from the Great Ride of Rimutakas all the way through the 3 towns to Masterton, and then there's trails branching off there, loop trails that possibly could take a day, or you know what I mean, like that. So it's a huge well, I'd say this is right up there with the Dark Sky Society. If that gets ahead as well, it's a big bonus for the whole of Wairarapa.
Just one point you brought up, you said it aligns with the Otago Trail. Isn't the Otago Trail privatised to a point that people pay to go on there?
That's something that the governance would have to look at, on how the maintenance is done on this project over time. And that's part of the governance group to decide that.
That was one of my questions, you know, there's going to be ongoing maintenance, and there is a figure there of over 300,000 a year, and that's a bit of a concern for us as a council. But if it went down that track, I guess a lot of the maintenance would be done there. Alice, you had your hand up.
Yeah, look, I've looked through the numbers as well, and my first question, I suppose, Bryce, was the document in terms of the numbers and dollars, has that been peer reviewed by anyone?
Yes, I believe. Yes, the group have done that. Yes,
because I couldn't see anything that talked about any peer reviewing of numbers or on terms.
Well, they're just the numbers are based on current other trails have cost to build, and so yes, they will change. Yeah, as the world changes, but they are based currently on what other trails have cost.
Okay, so I was more interested, I suppose, in the numbers of users that rather than the dollars, because the dollars are the dollars what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
But on the dollars in terms of cost, just purely for the signature trails, 15.6 million to build the signature trails across the Wairarapa. 12.5 million of that is in South Wairarapa, which that means then we're going to come up with $195,000 a year maintenance. That's South Wairarapa's bill on this. And so I just want, and I'm not saying we can't do that, but we need to be aware that under this proposal, ratepayers are going to be stumping up nearly $200,000 a year to maintain the trails in the South Wairarapa district area.
Possibly, Alistair. We are looking at something similar to what the Greytown trails do. We have community involvement on the trails. That's something we're looking at as well.
Oh, look, I completely, this is proposal stuff,
Yes.
But right now, it doesn't matter who funds it, somehow, under this proposal, somebody needs to fund $195,000 a year maintenance for South Wairarapa component only. And that's just the signature trails. That's not the loop trails or anything else. The other question I have, which is reasonably pertinent right now, because it pertains to Underhill Road. And Garrick and I have been out and spoken to the residents on Underhill Road on the Greytown side, and they have real concerns about the safety once the bridge is open, about cyclists riding up Underhill Road. There's no easy way to say this, but it is extremely dangerous. It's a narrow road. It's an extremely dusty road, and it's not the first top truck that's going to kill the cyclists. It's the second one because they won't see them. And my real concern is that something is happening without actually thinking it through right through. So the bridge is going to be open before the next stage to link the bridge to the to the rail trail. And I would hate to be sitting on council and say, oh yeah, sorry, somebody's dead because it hasn't been done and we didn't do anything about it as a council.
Jimmy,
Alex, yes.
yeah, look, Alistair, you're raising objections on a very broad plan that hasn't been decided.
I'm not objecting. I just want to make it.
But you're raising specific issues on a broad plan. We know that the bridge is out of sync with the development of the trail, but that's because the government PGF money came through. Any trail and any creation will be coming to council for approval over the next 10 years. So we will be able to manage what our expectations are and how and what legacy funding that might be required to maintain it, to protect the council from any future shocks with regards to maintenance. So I think that's discussions for later. What we're just looking at here is a broad concept that we will drive the specifics of for the South Wairarapa. Now, 50 to 60% of these trails are in the South Wairarapa, so it's a bigger issue for us with our ratings base than others, but we can actually address that as time goes on.
Can I just can I just finish that bit, because there are oh, no, you go. There you go.
No, I just want, because I'd just like to go now, Alistair, just because I actually slightly disagree with what the Mayor has said, because I think that any issues with regards to health and safety should actually start being looked at right from the start, especially if it's any kind of loss of life, and that should actually play a part on what they're looking at for the design concept. So it is a very broad thing, but it already mentions Underhill Road. I think that what you brought up is something that we should actually have still in our minds there, and not just for Underhill Road, but for those other trails that they are putting through the South Wairarapa, where we may need to really think about what as the Assets and Services Committee for Services, what we're needing to be doing. So I just wanted to actually say that for me, you raise a really good point.
I think, Alex, there are two parts to this. I think there is the broad concept, which is the broader concept document, and I completely agree with what you said about that. But we actually are facing an issue right now as part of this, is that bridge is being built now. And given that Underhill Road is a public road, people can ride their bike up there anytime they like. We can't stop that. But what we have to take note of is that when we facilitate more bike riding going up there, and we haven't thought through what that might mean in terms of safety. So, Harry, can you comment?
Well, it comes back to my comment about liability and the entity. So that's something we have to fundamentally hardwire into the design of the entity. In part, like the Otago Rail Trails, the Hauraki Rail Trails, they actually have private tour operators, and the tour operators carry workplace safety obligations for parties as well. When they are arranging tours on the network. So look, there's a whole lot of water to go under the bridge here. Literally, this is the high level design concept, and all those factors are things we need to take into consideration as it unfolds.
When's the bridge completion date?
The bridge completion date has been pushed out 2 months due to COVID, so we're looking at the end of February now.
Garrick, you had a comment?
Sort of supporting what's been said, and I don't want to nitpick through it all, but I'm just concerned about a number of things, and I'll throw them out there. In page 2, we talk about governance. Initially there's no involvement directly of iwi. We actually had Maori Standing Committee involved, and they were approached early on when we were putting in the first bridge. I don't know if it's dropped off the file, but that was, to my mind, that's an important link in there. The other thing I'd like just to throw in, that down the south here, a large number of locals have been looking at using paper roads. Now, I know this is interim, Harry and Bryce, but the paper roads around our area are actually available, and I think we shouldn't let them drop off the table either. The MOU, I understand that is only interim, but once again, I'm not quite sure who is going to be the Maori reps or the iwi reps on those organisations, and maybe we should bolt that down earlier on rather than further down the track, because I know there was a very good approach made to Maori Standing about a year ago about this whole thing, and it was very, very positive because they were involved right from the get-go, and people felt really good about it. Just one other comment. On page 6, there's a comment there about $21 million spending in the Wairarapa as a result of the trail network is estimated to increase from 21 million a year in its early stage. I'm not quite sure where that figure came from. And I can just throw out there that we had a meeting yesterday with Destination Wairarapa, and they had a record year last year of tourism in the Wairarapa of 13 million. Are these some of these numbers? This is getting back to what Alistair said. I know we're still, working our way through this, but I think this could actually be bigger than we thought. So totally support it, but just a few things maybe we should look at doing on the way through. Thanks.
Yeah. Look, I agree with everyone saying, but you've got to understand we need a master plan, and this is the master plan just to get this is the enabler to allow us to get funding. And there was a hell of a lot of work to be done. We had to show roughly we'd go so we can get this master plan going. So we're not going to get it all done at once. There's absolutely no chance of that. Each section will be looked at. We've got a lot of work to do with private property owners so we can get off-road. There's a hell of a lot of work to do once we get past this.
Yeah, I agree, Bryce. I mean, all we're asked to do is support. And I guess, Harry, you've just explained what the situation will be. We're not locking ourselves into anything now. We're actually just wanting it to go to the next step. And there's going to be a lot of issues out there that we haven't foreseen and we can't be expected to. But I guess as you get down the track, as Bryce mentioned before, there'll be other things that we have to nail down. So, Alistair,
Could I just say, Bryce, I completely agree with what you said, and I support the concept of this 5 trails. Don't have a problem with it. But what I do have an issue with right now is the safety of the part that is coming in that is being done outside of this particular concept, because nothing is in place to look after the safety of people who may well use that bridge. And when you tell me that it's going to be open in February, and we're now in November, well, we've got only a couple of months to come up with a safety plan for the people who are going to use that bridge. And it's all very well building a bridge and then saying, well, you can't use it. That's not going to work. That's a hiding to nothing. So we really do need to take the views of the people on Underhill Road, who I might say are very supportive of the whole concept, but they are just worried about the safety of people who are going to be riding up that road. That is their one and only concern. And we need to take it serious, and we need to actually have an answer for them, because the last thing you want is one of those local people driving up the road and having to come across a body who's been hit by a truck. That's not fair on them, and it's irresponsible of us to allow that to occur.
Harry, you had a comment on this?
Well, I think there's, I think Alistair's point is important, and we need to pick that up. But this report is about the master plan. So what I suggest is we add a further, or just note as an action for us to continue discussions with YTAG about the safety issues around the bridge. I think that's a separate issue to what's here. So we don't lose the action, and Alistair have a response to Alistair's concerns, but the paper in front of us is around approving the master plan.
Yep. Happy with that.
Yep, I am too. Yep. Right. Okay, so we'll move on. Now, would someone like to move that we receive and supports the 5 town trails master plan? I'll go, and Rebecca. Thank you. You got that, Suzanne? And we're all in favour of that. Hands up. All right. Against? Garrick, are you up or down? You're running late there, mate. Okay, we're all in favour, thank you. Right, now the third recommendation. And Harry, do you want to add to this, or do you want another action on what you just said?
I think we call it as an action. It doesn't as a resolution. So just
Okay.
noting the concern around safety around Underhill Road, and that officers will work on an action plan to reduce the risk with YTAG.
Yep. Have you got that, Suzanne? Yep. Thank you. Right. So I'll put.
Jeffy,
Sorry.
Jeffy, just with the last one, delegating authority to the CE to work with the 3 Wairarapa district councils. Is this are all 3 CEOs having that same role, Harry, or like for the Wairarapa, or is,
Yes.
or
Yep,
is it
yep.
the mayors
Yep.
directly, or who's
No,
sitting on this group?
It's the 3 CEOs. I mean, it is about forming an operational, an entity. That's the action, is to actually work out what what is the best form of an entity that can manage, fundraising, that can manage the liabilities, the risks, all those types of things. So that's the action. So it's an operational action.
Yep.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks, Harry. Righto. Would someone like to move recommendation 3, which is notes that officers will recommend that council delegates authority to the chief executive to work with the 3 Wairarapa district councils and Wairarapa Trails Action Group to research and create a suitable legal entity with appropriate and representative governance to deliver the Wairarapa 5 Towns Trail Master Plan. Just on that, Harry, will iwi be involved in that as well?
Sorry, can I just I think that resolution needs a minor amendment.
Yes.
I think it's assets and services recommend to council that.
Yes.
So it's a council decision,
Yeah.
not a decision of assets and services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Jeffy, did you have another question?
Yeah, just will iwi be involved in that entity?
Yes. Yep.
They will. Okay. Yeah, well, that was a concern. So are you happy with that slight change that Harry noted? Okay. So Rebecca, will you
officers, it's assets and services.
Yes. Yep. So Rebecca, you'll move that?
I will, quite happy to.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Thank you. We're all in favour. Raise our hands. Keep your head down now, Garrick. We're going against. Head down. Good man. Right. That's just about now. That would you like to take a 5-minute break before we move on? Or yep, everyone's got their hands up. So yep. Okay, we'll see you back here at what about 10 o'clock? That's 7 minutes. Okay, thanks, guys. Suzanne, are you going to cut this off, or we just keep quiet?
Yeah, if you just put your mutes on and turn your video off, it will continue live streaming.
Yeah. You right there, Alex?
Can't hear you, Alex. Oh,
I gave a thumbs up.
oh. Hello, Alex.
You're a bit behind with these hand signals, Gareth. Is something in that coffee that Marguerite gave you?
I
He's
think
trying to
that's,
slow me down a bit.
I'm
Oh,
surprised
okay.
because he grew up in an age where cars didn't have indicators.
Yeah. We'll just wait for the others to come back on. That they're running 1 minute late, but
So the government announcement will be in half an hour on Three Waters.
oh, okay.
My boys
Well,
confirm what you said, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's we're being recorded. Yeah.
We'll get that via email, will we, Alex?
Yes, there is an embargoed press release out already on it.
Yep. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hello, am I muted now, am I? Oh, yes.
Yes, you. No, you're on board. We just can't see your face, but
There you go.
that's the one.
How's everybody?
Yeah, very well.
Morning.
We need Stefan on because this is his cue.
Looks like Stefan's there.
Stefan's there.
I am here, thank you.
Oh, very good. Right, we'll start again, and I'd like someone to move that we receive the partnership and operations report, please. Pip and Alistair, all in favour of that? Raise your hand up. Garrett, good man. Down. Against, carried. Right. So, Stefan, you're on, mate. You'll get some questions fired at you. So, is there anything you want to add now as we get into this? No. Yep. You're on mute, Stefan. Press your mute. That's the one.
Thank you, Chair. Not really. I just would draw members' attention to the summary where we've attempted to highlight some of the things that that have happened over the period, the reporting period, including work in the water space where we've seen some progress in the amount of the reduction of leakage in the system. We've seen good customer satisfaction responses through the Colmar Brunton survey that we do. We've seen a very busy period for Wellington Water in relation to network maintenance and repair. And so that's in the water space. Obviously in amenities, Bryce's team's been very busy. There's been some really solid work come out of the team over the period. The 5 Trails launch, obviously, encouraging. The Memorial Square plaque unveiling, and Bryce's team, as is well known, as prolific producers of new initiatives and work for the region. So very happy with that. And in roading, we're just reporting on some data that we think is important, the quality and the safety of our roads in the region, both of which are positive, and just thought that the committee would want to know those results. Otherwise, I think the report stands on its own, and would welcome any questions and discussion. And I've got army of people here behind me to help with the technical detail. So thank you, and thanks once again.
Okay, thanks, Stefan. Jeremy, is there anything you want to add to the Wellington Water part of that report?
No, nothing to add. Just thanks, Stefan. I guess we highlighted a couple of incidents in the report. There's the storm event. It had pretty large impact on the Waihini water treatment plant. I guess that was a couple of big days put in by the troops there to keep things ticking along. So I'm pretty pleased with how things went there, all things considering. And some other failures. The asset there, the pump that failed. Again, it was pretty quick turnout response from the team. I guess just highlights the areas of plant maintenance where that the inroads. There's still a long way to go for us to get on top of the planned maintenance of all these assets. Nothing else to add.
Oh, thank you. Righto, team. Is there any questions you want to ask of Jeremy or Stefan on the pit?
I'm just wondering how if there's an update with regards to the bridge, just heading out Ponatai, where it's they were waiting on supplies to be able to get that all fixed. If it's been done in the last week, that's awesome. I just don't know. I haven't been out there in the last week, but
Stefan, are you up to speed on that? You're on mute, mate. You're muted. Oh. Click the button. Oh.
No, I don't have an update on Ponatai Bridge, but just wondering if I have my anyone from my roading team on board that might be able to assist with that.
Harry, have you any update on
Stefan, the issue was around materials. So we've had trouble sourcing materials. So I don't have an update. But we can certainly find out, but because that relates to a lot of work. It's not just the Ponatai Bridge, it's particularly things like the aluminium sidings, that type of thing. I do think I do recall Tim saying I think we've got some, but I just don't take that as gospel until I can confirm with Tim.
Yeah, that'll be
okay.
Just I know it's been on the radar for quite some months now, and really needing to know just where we're at with that and how soon it's going to be fixed, especially coming up towards summer.
I guess, Harry, you hit the nail on the head, and it's happening right throughout the country in all aspects of life, is the availability of materials and tradesmen to do the work.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when this first came up, it's been we've been waiting materials for almost 9 months. I mean, and that's a national problem. It's not just one of ours. In fact, I sent you recently some commentary from Waka Kotahi about the escalating costs that they're facing, which is in part materials, labour, all those types of things, and the impact it's having on the National Land Transport Program. So this is a problem shared right around New Zealand. But look, I'm pretty sure that we actually have got the materials, but I'll just we'll confirm that with Tim and get back to you.
Yep. Just that on that escalation of costs for materials, Jeremy, are you finding any major issues there?
Yes, definitely. I'm not too sure if it steps it out in the report, but we're seeing that right across, materials, and as well as people. Getting people, feet on the ground. It's impact on our consultancy panels, getting experts in from overseas. Obviously, it's just really tricky at the moment. So. There's issues around freight, as well as the availability of the materials without the freight component in it. So yeah, it's a national problem. Yeah.
I just mentioned, I'll just add to that. It actually mentioned in paragraph 2.6 under COVID impacts on capital delivery.
That's right.
It's stated in the report.
Yeah.
Just on that, Jeremy, thank you. And I know there's going to be a big issue on that, but it would be really useful that we get a advance warning of budget issues. So even though the costs are going up, how much are we talking about here? Are we talking a significant blowout of your budget? Because we will need to know that in advance, not after the effect.
We are doing our best.
Rather than answer that now, perhaps for the next assets and services meeting, we could actually get a crystal ball gaze from Wellington Water as to say what is actually the budgetary effect going to be on the projects that you're working on.
Yeah, I don't think the initial work that we've done is looking at in the order of sort of 10 to 15%, but don't quote me on that. We need to bottom that out. Certainly, it's not my area. It's within the network design and delivery team, but they are certainly doing a lot of work to uncover all of that. So yeah, I'll make a note and bring it back to you next meeting.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Oh, thanks for that. I was actually just about to say the same thing that Alistair remarked on. And also just to indicate that currently the COVID impacts are going to be far-reaching, particularly in terms of people, for a bit longer. There's only about 60 spaces that are held in MIQ facilities at the moment for civil construction works across New Zealand, and that's per month. And unfortunately, water is not considered to be civil construction / essential services. So potentially, and I'm sure Wellington Water team know that, but potentially it means that we're going to struggle even more to get people into one of those absolutely critical spaces. And I just wonder if the government have thought about that in any of their Three Waters reform. But Jeremy, it's just a really quick question. Sorry about that preamble. I thought we had established backup power supply at our water plants, and if we had, would that have impacted differently on the way the guys were working when we had our outages?
No, the outages were caused by lightning strikes. So we didn't have power, but we had generators there, so we had power. The problem was some of the critical equipment was fried. So yeah, we were able to source parts from the Metro side to reinstate that equipment. But yeah, people were working. Well, not people, we had the teams working 24/7 to get them up and running, sourcing equipment from the side of the hill.
What do you do in the Wellington space just to deal with that? Do you have backup equipment that's there, or is it, these are random events that are dealt with at the time rather than in a planned way?
So, I mean, it's two questions there. So the first thing on the Metro side of certainly of the treatment plants, they invested significantly in mitigation for surge events, so lightning suppressors. So that there is investment that we'd recommend in that space, and some of that is underway, or is in the program. And as far as because even with lightning suppression, we still do have failures because of surges. And yeah, we do carry spares for generic equipment, like flow meters, for instance, the mag flow meters. Fortunately, the unit that was affected, the units that were affected on the Waihingi plant, they were common to the units we have on the side of the hill, so we're able to get spares from there. But South Wairarapa didn't actually carry them themselves. But yep, I guess that's the benefit of being with Wellington Water, I guess, is that we can use a bigger source of spares, things like that.
So is there anything more, I guess, that we should be doing in that regard?
Yeah, well, that like I sort of alluded to, work on lightning suppression and things like that. You know, but I mean, it's a matter of prioritisation. You know, there's a very big long list for the good folks of South Wairarapa, and it's a matter of getting that prioritised list in order, and that's what we've been doing. So yeah,
that's true. It's just not the first time that we've cooked gear up there before.
No.
It's quite a regular occurrence, actually.
Yeah, I guess the first and I guess the most important risk up there was in around the power supply, which is flaky at best. So having that generator there, I mean, that's massive improvement in resilience. So it was great to have that there, because otherwise we would have been really cooked. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, Stefan, just on the commentary around costs increasing, have you guys, I guess you'll keep a handle on that, and if you see anything in the roading network or others that the alarm bells go, we need to know sooner, that, as Alison said, than later.
Yeah, yes, Chair, we are conscious, so we are mindful of that. I think the call for the budget update on water for the next committee is well heard. Yeah. We've provided a little bit of information on the CapEx program and where they're tracking this paper, but we will bring a more detailed report on the water budget to you next time, and we are looking carefully at our budgets through the year, including on roading. And so, you know, obviously we operate on a no surprises basis. If there's something of concern, we will bring it to you.
Thank you. Gary.
Yeah, just a couple of things on the expenditure side. The Papawai costs, I see that it's still at this stage, we're still a bit lost there. Page 26 in the red. Do we have a feel for how bad that's going to be, Jeremy?
I'm sorry, I don't have I don't have those figures. Gary, do you have them? Gary's online here.
We're looking at 2.8, and I don't know how much worse it's got. That was all.
Sorry, it's Gary O'Meara here. Hi. So last update we had from the consultancy panel, they were looking with the change of methodology with a significant additional expenditure of around 1.9 million. So the options are being identified at the moment on whether we can halt this project and stage it with it meeting the current expenditure, current funding, and pick it up again on the renewals budget. So the Wellington Water is going through and looking at the impact of that. Would it impact growth? Would it impact on levels of service? At this stage, it appears not to. And taking into account what Jeremy outlined with the backlog of work to be undertaken on the water networks, it's timely to look at that in terms of risk. Is it the greatest risk, or are we better spending the money elsewhere? So we're waiting for Wellington Water to come back with a report on that, but at this stage they're looking around 1.9 million.
An extra 1.9, you're telling me?
An extra 1.9.
And that's unbudgeted?
It's unbudgeted.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Swallow
deeply. Can I move to the other one that's concerned me for a while? On page 27, the drip lines at Lake Ferry. I see we're still working on the electronics there, because I presume that's the UV. Who is paying for that?
I don't, Gary here, I don't have an answer on that at the moment. I don't know whether Jeremy does.
So the if you're referring to the contractor damage,
the contractor. We're still concerned about. I'm assuming it's the UV treatment at the end. There's a comment there saying irrigation field electronics being completed. So they were not
that could refer to the flow management device that adjusts the flow to the different drip lines.
Yeah.
The UV system itself was undamaged. So the Wellington Water have contributed towards the costs of that project, but the overall project has come out of the CapEx renewals budget.
But is the question around compensation? In other words, it was damaged, and the person who damaged, they'll be seeking compensation from them for the cost.
Okay, that just it was at 326, and it's got an arrow going up. So I'm assuming that's to put in the extra electronics. So we could be up to 400, but once again, unbudgeted.
I wasn't well. I'd have to get back to you, find out about that. But if the question is around the contractor liability for it, we weren't able to hold the contractor liable. So the actual upward arrow on the costs, the actual number, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, that would be helpful. And who's paying for it? Thanks, Jimmy.
Hello, team. Alistair.
Yeah, so have we finished with water? Can we move on to roading?
Yep.
Okay. Stefan, there was a comment in the start of the roading paragraph that said 1,700. What is it? Just let me find the wording. 1,700 job dispatches were uncompleted. What does that actually mean?
As I understand it, COVID has delayed a very high number of jobs in the past 6 months, and those jobs now are being pushed into the next quarter and the quarter beyond that in order for us to try and make up ground. Jobs, I'm not sure what the definition of that would be. Assuming that is a whole broad range of repair and maintenance activity and other work activity across the program for the roading team.
Are we able? Do you think we're going to be able to catch up the 1,700 jobs that have? I would imagine that's quite a lot.
I don't think we will, Alistair. In all honesty, I think combined with material restrictions and some of the labour issues that they're facing across the team, including the Fulton Hogan team, we'll do our best. But I do think we're dealing with a significant backlog there.
Okay, thank you. The second question I have is about Settlement Road, and you probably won't know about this one, Stefan, but you're aware of this, Harry, aren't you? Whereabouts are we? Because the last advice given to the residents, and for those on the committee who don't know, this is Settlement Road in Greytown, where the people live up Settlement Road. It was supposed to be handed over to the council years and years ago by the original person who did the subdivision. That never eventuated. So now you've got residents here with a road that doesn't get maintained and so on and so forth. So that they were advised that they all needed to agree to vest that road back into the council. They've all signed that letter. And so where are we? What's the next stage for this, Harry?
I haven't seen the letter yet, Alistair.
I sent it to him about a month ago.
Yeah, was it? Okay, sorry, I hadn't seen that. But the first action was we were going to grade the road on their behalf. So I had to check with Tim that was done. But in terms of the vesting, in fact, I think our advice to them was we can get the works done on their behalf, including the National Land Transport Program, which does not necessarily include the vesting of the road. I think that was the initial advice we provided on that. But I'll have to talk to Tim.
Yeah, okay. Could you just follow that one up and perhaps even just get back to me so I can let the landowners know where they are as well?
Yeah, sure.
Talking to them the whole way through. Thank you.
Guys, just before we go on to this land transport, I do actually, I just wanted to highlight a couple of quite high-level things in this report that are actually really important, and they're buried in the pie diagrams and those types of things. You'll recall, I think Rebecca said, often we just have an activity list of things that are going on the roading area, and can we improve that? So Tim has been working on trying to give the committee a sense of, overall asset condition, some of the key indicators we're measured against, and so there's some quite important information here. So, and particularly as we as we seem to get a lot of flack from people around the state of our assets, the state of our rural roads particularly. Okay, so if you look at, first of all, the 3 pie diagrams, so that's network condition. So this is the state of our assets. So this is the network, so that's the road network itself. You've got the culverts, bridges, signs. And if you look at that pie diagram, and remember, this is a methodology that NZTA audit and make sure is valid because it's comparable across New Zealand. So this isn't something that our team have just made up and pulled out of their, just pulled out. So this is, and when we make our bids on our asset management plan to Waka Kotahi, you know, we have to have a good understanding of our assets and the condition of our assets to give them a sense of where the priority for investment is. And if you actually look at each of those 3, the first 3 pie diagrams, they're actually telling you if you take average, excellent, and good, you've almost got, you know, you're almost at the 80 to 90 percentile of asset condition. So that is really good news, and that's you know, as of this year, that's a summary of where our overall assets sit. Now that's at a point in time, but that also indicates that doesn't tell you when they need to be replaced and those types of things. Just as a snapshot in time about where our assets sit, and that's an important thing to remember. The second one is really want to draw your attention to is 3.2, the smooth travel exposure. So again, this is an NZTA measure. There's literally a car that has a machine in the back of it, and it drives over every kilometre of rural roads throughout New Zealand, including our rural road network, except unsealed roads. So this is an indicator of sealed roads, and it is the smooth travel exposure. So in other words, the customer's experience of the ride, the smoothness of the ride on the road network. And you'll see from such a small budget that our council have, so we exceed by far the national and rural average in terms of the quality of the ride that people experience on the network. And I qualify that by saying that does not include unsealed roads, but people talk about rural roads, and this is both our rural roads and our urban roads differentiated by type. So we have a primary collector or a secondary collector. They tend to be your equivalent of main roads, but access and low volume roads are indicators of part of your rural network. So this is a really good metric.
Pat, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they actually have one that does do the unsealed roads as well, because as you know, in the South Wairarapa, we actually have a lot of unsealed roads for our rural roads, and it does tend to be more of those ones that are actually where people are talking about the grading and things like that they're having a lot of difficulty with. So do they have one that sits in the back seat to go through over those roads, or?
And the method doesn't allow for rural road for unsealed roads, but we can certainly find out if there is an indicator. I think it's really important. But I just wanted to particularly draw your attention to, you know, so that our sealed network is actually exceptional. And that's a really important thing, because we do get a lot of flack from people about the quality of our roads and those
Yes,
types.
I know, but you mentioned the fact that a lot of it comes from the rural area, and I'm just saying that a lot of that rural area is unsealed. So although this is fantastic, honestly, this is really, really, really good to see. It'd be great to have something that we could actually show them with regards to that side, because we have such a large unsealed rural roading area.
Yeah, no, and so, but again, what we're trying to do, and we'll pick that up, we'll try and find if there is an indicator that gives comparative measures of the quality of unsealed roads across New Zealand. That would be a really useful thing to put people's minds at rest where they sit nationally in terms of the quality of unsealed rural roads, because there's many rural areas that have the same issue. And so, but again, I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that we're trying to give you a helicopter view of the quality of our assets and some of the indicators, so give you assurance about the quality of work that's done, not just the activity. I mean, how many culverts we do and so forth, which is the request.
Just one thing on that, Harry, I was thinking about, could they not incorporate the safety of our roads and how that compares to other regions?
Jebby, that's the next one, 3.3. So the accident statistics. So that's that gives you over a 10-year period.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So there is, that's a 10-year. But remember, and the only thing I qualify that, of course, is reported crashes. And so there are a lot of crashes that occur right throughout New Zealand that do not get reported. They may go to an insurance company, or they may be a claim to ACC and so forth. And so these will be ones that are essentially recorded through the police CAS system. So they're not an indicator of all crashes that occur on the network. But certainly we stack up pretty well in terms, which is in many ways be a factor of volume, so it's exposure rate. So generally those areas that have low volumes will get less crashes than those that have high volumes.
Well, that's a good point, because the volume of traffic on our rural roads is increasing dramatically since COVID. I mean, you've only got to take this last weekend with people coming out to the lighthouse for a look. By the time they got down from walking up to the lighthouse, they had to wait a half an hour for cars to get away so they could back out. I mean, the number is just going out of proportion. Yeah, so we're going to get more accidents.
So that's me. I just want to just highlight the fact that we're trying to give you information about overall state network. Yeah,
that's great.
Harry, Harry, the accident statistics on the primary collector, that doesn't include the Rumataka Hill, does it?
No. So primary collector is that's our local road primary collectors. It's nothing to do with the state highway at all.
Okay.
So this is those terminology come from a national road classification. That actually has a hierarchy of the types of the nature or function of a particular road. So these are the primary collectors in our local district.
Right. Okay.
It actually looks pretty good.
It does. Yeah, it does. But again, I qualify that by saying that's an indicator of volume. Because what you don't have, it's the number of crashes per kilometre of road network, not as a factor of vehicle kilometres travelled. And I'm not sure, because the trick in that is we don't have traffic counters on every part of our network. So it's trying to get that in a statistically valid comparator.
Have we any other further questions on our partnership and operations report? Alex. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. One thing, the Ngawi septic tank, which is ongoing. What's our stage? What we were at with that, with regards to a timeline for consenting to be able to install.
That's right. Yeah.
Stefan, you want me to answer that?
Thank you, Bryce.
Yep. Okay. This has been an ongoing saga, Alex. First of all, we had to identify who owned the land, and we had to go through LINZ to find that out, and we do, which is great. So now it's sitting in the building consent, because as we are changing under the new building consent laws, as we are changing something with the building, we're putting a whole new septic system in there. We now have to upgrade all the fire alarms, wide fire alarms, disability accesses, and plans. So we are working through that. We've done half of that now. So basically it is sitting in building consent. And then as soon as I know that, and it got lodged yesterday formally, it was presented, they wanted some more feedback. It's now lodged formally and simply. So I think they have 21 days. So that's where we are. And then I'm ringing GT Septic today to see where he is, because he's been quite difficult to pin down a date because everyone's so busy. I'm hoping to get it. Well, it needs to be done before Christmas anyway, Alex, before summer kicks in.
Fantastic. Hey, thanks for that. I'll let the Residents Association know.
Well, they know, Alex. I'm keeping in. Yep, I'm keeping in touch with them on every step of the way.
Lovely.
Jeremy, you.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was just getting back to Councillor Eames just on the costs for that Lake Ferry drip lines project. So that project is complete. All we're waiting on is the as-built drawings. So yeah, those costs, the 326 is the completed cost of that project.
Yep. Pip.
Oh no, I haven't finished yet.
Oh, sorry, Alex.
Yeah. There was a question that was raised quite a while ago with regards to South Downs Road vesting into council, and then it's gone quiet for about 18 months. Where are we at with that, Harry? Do you have any knowledge or? No, or possibly Stefan may know?
Yeah, we are working on it.
Yep.
Alex, Olivia is looking into it.
Sorry, that is currently getting worked on and is with a surveyor because it does involve subdivision of a private property before that road can be vested. So it is currently being worked on.
Oh, excellent. It was just in my notes to follow up. The other one is for Wellington Water, the leak in the bladder that's being installed at Waihini. How are we going with that, and whether or not there's been an update since this report was compiled?
Yes, so we have we've had divers in there. I think that's in the report. They have located one source of a leak, which they believe isn't the only source of the leak. They've made progress yesterday as well with identifying another leak, and so they're just looking at ways to make repairs there. So yeah, the work's ongoing.
Cool. I don't know whether members of the Assets and Services would actually like to visit that at some stage and see how that's going. I mean, it's of interest to me and possibly the whole South Wairarapa with regards to alternative storage for that might be something we might want to arrange in the future.
Yeah, sure. We were still yet to give you folks a tour around the wastewater treatment plants as well, which was raised a while back. So yeah, I'd be happy to show some people around.
Cool. And the next one is the Eco Reef, and I went out there and they're still sitting there on the main road to Ngawi. How are we going with regards to the installation of that trial? It's I think it's a year overdue now.
Yeah, well, look, Alex, if I can jump in here, I've been talking to Tim. It's all set to go, but Fulton Hogan have been, due to COVID, are behind with their work. And so my understanding is as soon as they catch up with the emergency work they need to do, they'll be onto it.
Does it have to be Fulton Hogan that does that, or are there alternatives?
Well, apparently they've got the contract to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Pip, now you, sorry.
Well, I just wanted to clarify with Bryce with the Payne Farm homestead, just the scheduled inspections for Monday the 18th. Was that the one just been, or is it for next month?
I think it was the one just been actually, and it was fine. Look, we got some good tenants in there.
Yeah.
Very good tenants, and the grounds are maintained highly too. So.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Alistair.
Yeah, on the annual plan last year, we asked for a report on the future needs of green space in Greytown. I'm just wondering whether we could get an update on how that project's going. Are you aware of that, Bryce or Harry, or where we're looking at the future?
Yeah, I am aware of it because it's in the long-term plan, and there is something going on in the background, but I can't mention that just yet, Alistair.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'll to catch up where that was at. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head, but we can get back.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, very good, folks. See, Stefan, we're not that bad. Is there anything you would like to add in conclusion to this report, Stefan?
No, I'm happy with that, Chair. Thank you. Looks like Councillor Maynard's got her hand up, though.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Sorry. I had an interesting comment. Just I just saw cemeteries on there, and I had someone ring the council inquiring about looking at getting at holding a couple of cremation spots in the wall, and they said, "Oh, just fill in one of these forms." And the first form asked them when they died. So I thought maybe we could have a look at just what it is that we're sending out to people, because they haven't yet. So they were wanting to look at holding, booking ahead, if you like, and so maybe that's just something that we could have a look at, those forms.
Yeah, I will do, Poe. I'll have a chat to Karen about it. It's probably just misinformation between the two parties. Got confused.
Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you guys. Jeremy, Stefan, you got to hang in here because you got another item to deal with. So we shall now move on to
Thank you.
the action
Thanks.
items report. Would someone like to move that we receive that? Rebecca and Garrick. All in favour? Aye. Against? Right, we're into it. So, Stefan, is there anything you want to add to this report before we start discussions?
No, happy to kick off, Chair. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Righto, guys. Have any questions on this action item report? I see you've actually inherited a hell of a lot, Stefan. I guess it's going to take a bit of time for you to work through them, but I think the comments on the side of it, or the notes, I should say, speak to it a bit. So, any other queries on it? Alex.
There we go. Yes, item 695 with regards to Donald Creek flooding. How are we going with regards to clarify the responsibilities with the Greater Wellington Council versus Council? I know there was a bit of argy-bargy going on last time. It silted up or gravelled up. And also, confirming the existence of a management plan and to what extent that, the downflow of gravel is the responsibility of management plan versus when it goes onto council land. Harriet, I think you probably were dealing with this, were you?
It transpired that there's a point where Greater Wellington Regional Council's responsibilities stop, but that does include migration through the system. It didn't cover the accountability for the gravel build-up under the Dons Creek Bridge, which we paid to get fixed, essentially, but the Regional Council allowed us to operate under the terms and conditions of their consent, which meant we could progress the works on. I do have an email that clarifies those responsibilities, Alex. I have to dig it out and send it back to you.
Cool.
Any others? Oh, Pip. Yep.
So just wanting to clarify, 169, revoke the 2001 resolution authorising the subdivision of council land beside the Greytown senior housing units, and that was being resolution made by council, needs to be revoked by council. We'll go to the 28th of July meeting. It's still open, so I'm just wondering where that's at.
Karen, is that you?
No, I can answer that, Councillor Maynard. So that had gone to the Greytown Community Board for feedback, and now that has been received, so it'll be going to the council meeting on the 17th of November.
Thank you.
Well, looks like we've done and dusted, guys. I guess the next action is actually, I'm trying to read. Public excluded. So I will declare this part of the meeting closed, and would someone like to move that we go into public excluded? Rebecca, and seconder, Alistair. All in favour?